You'll only be able to say these words when you're fully convinced of the value that you bring to the table. When you understand at a deep level, these people have set themselves up for disappointment and financial loss. I can save them from that. You have to be fully convicted in that if you're going to hang in there to have this kind of dialogue, okay? So the reason I'm here is not to list your home. I want to help you sell it. And I've got a focus group of buyers. If I can understand your home, know its room dimensions, its condition, its square footage, then I'll know if it meets the criteria for my focus group of buyers. And if it does, I'm going to bring them by, okay, and help you sell it, whether I list the home or not, okay? That's the value that we're bringing here. Okay, so the initial phone call. And what this means is, let's just say that you're going to get a Land Voice account or a RedX account, and it lists 28 FSBOs, not in a focused home-based area like we said, 500 homes or a 2-mile radius, but stretched from Katy to Humble to the Woodlands. Okay, you're not going to go knock on all those doors, are you? So you may want to knock, we're going to coach you, knock on the doors within your home base. But don't necessarily close yourself off from those that are more far-flung. You can do essentially the same thing with a phone call, and here's the verbiage. You know, hi, my name is Rod with RE/MAX, and I noticed your home is for sale. Would you mind if I made an appointment to come out and view the home so I can add it to my for sale by owner inventory? Okay? Again, a very non-threatening, unique approach. And then you're going to get the same responses, and you reply with the same thing. I've got a focused process I use with my buyers. Now, what you may hear from a FSBO, either on the phone or in person, is, okay, you say you have a focus group of buyers. Do you have a buyer for my home now? Can you bring them by now? What are you going to say to that? Here we go. I am currently working with buyers and receive calls on a daily basis. However, I need to view the home and take some room measurements so that I can match your home to the criteria for each of my buyers. In other words, I don't just randomly put buyers in my car and go show them homes that I know nothing about. I take an intentional and proactive approach to both selling homes and working with buyers, okay? So if your home meets the criteria for one of my buyers, absolutely, your home will be the first one I show. But I won't know until I see it, okay? Okay, again, same response. Well, we don't want to work with a realtor. We don't want to list with a real estate agent right now. Same dialogue. I understand. I appreciate that. Again, the purpose for my call is not to come out and list your home. It's to see your home, to take some measurements so that I can add it to my for sale by owner inventory. All right? By the way, how many of you all have a FSBO inventory now? Do you maintain a FSBO inventory? Okay? Well, what you might want to do, if you start one. Start one before you ever make your first FSBO call or your FSBO knock. So that if they say, huh, what's that? It would be very easy for you to pick up your binder. It's labeled FSBO Inventory and show some photos, which you can pull off FSBO.com, or you can pull the inventory, the property flyer from in front of a few FSBOs, start collecting them, and stick them in there. So you've got some legitimacy to what you're describing. And then when you actually begin working with FSBOs, you can beef that up and make it a true criteria description, okay? Because this is not smoke and mirrors, this is for real. If you had a buyer and the FSBO home met their criteria and the FSBO was willing to pay you 3%, would you show it? If you're acting in the best interest of your buyer, the answer has to be yes. Okay? Now it has to be win-win, right? The buyer gets the home they want and you get paid. Win-win or no deal. That's one of our core beliefs. But if they're willing to pay you, you would show the home. So this is completely legitimate. Okay, so once inside the home, so whether you got the appointment by phone or by the first door knock, here's the way it works. Setting up the home tour. thanks for allowing me the opportunity to view your home. What I would like to do is tour the home, make some notes, and measure the rooms. Key phrase. It's been my experience that room measurements are of vital importance to buyers. So you're justifying the walkthrough and the measuring process. It would be great as if we walk around, you pretend I'm a buyer, and point out what you feel are the selling features of the home. I'd also appreciate it if you could document the dimensions as I measure. And then you hand them your clipboard with the inventory sheet on it. And the inventory sheet, by the way, it's in the back of your manual. It just lists the common rooms typically found in a home and a place for the seller to write in the dimensions as you measure. Okay? It's that simple. As you tour the home, it's important to get the FSBO talking and comfortable sharing information with you. So you're going to talk about home features. Yes, we built this stone patio ourselves. We stole all the stones from the builder who was building down the street. I mean, they're going to tell you all their stuff. You're going to look at the pictures on the wall and say, oh, so you guys go four-wheeling on the weekends, okay? Or, oh, y'all are really into cats. Build rapport. A primary purpose of the home tour is to build rapport, to get them to know you, to like you, to trust you, okay? That you're a real person. And the way you do that is by commenting on the things that they say about the home or that you see in the home, okay? Bottom box, as you ask the following questions as you tour the home. Are you originally from this area? How long have you lived here? What brought you to this area? Hey, why are y'all moving? Why are you selling the house? What's going on? What do you do for a living? What got you into that line of work? How long have you been in that field? Do you enjoy your work? And what do you do for fun on the weekends? Do you have any hobbies? And these questions will naturally, opportunities will present themselves naturally as you tour the home. So it's not just 64 questions, you know, machine gun style, but just understand as you walk in, this is the information that you want to gather, and as the opportunity presents itself, you're going to go down these paths, okay? So these are very general questions. Now, we're going to coach you to get more specific and ask even deeper questions while you're on the home tour. Because, by the way, they haven't invited you to sit down at the table yet, have they? So you got to go in with a detective mindset. I've got to get all the information I can in the 10 minutes that we're going to take walking through the home. So here are some accountability-related questions to ask after you've broken the ice. After there's a little bit of rapport, you can move to this section. So, hey, how long has your home been for sale? Have you received any offers yet? How many times has the home shown? What feedback are you getting from potential buyers? And hey, has any home like yours sold while yours has been on the market? We call these accountability questions because if you had listed this home, aren't these the questions that you would be asking of yourself or that they as the seller would be asking of you? As you ask accountability questions, you know what happens in the mind of that seller? They're like, oh, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. You mean have other homes sold like this? Yeah, maybe. Not, you know, you're basically exposing the fact that they're an amateur playing a professional's game, but you're not saying that. You're allowing them to self-discover that as you ask these very innocent questions. Okay, exposure-related questions or marketing questions. Hey, how are you marketing the home? Okay, have you set up a website for the home? Okay, are you marketing it on the 20 most visited real estate websites in the country? Okay, have you set up a virtual tour? Do you have a YouTube video on this home? Okay, what have you just exposed? They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. Their home is not exposed. The market is not aware that they have a home for sale. Hey, how's the response been? Have any realtors shown the home? Okay? Might be a great time to say, well, really, that's interesting because 95% of all home buyers are realtor represented. You mean realtors are not bringing buyers through here on a regular basis? Oh, that means that your home is only being exposed to 5% of the potential buyers in the marketplace. Maybe that's why you haven't been overrun with offers, okay? The home is not being properly exposed. Price-related questions. Hey, how did you arrive at your list price? FSBO, how do they arrive at their list price? Do we know this?
What they want.
It's what they want. It's what we need. Okay? We need 50 grand to buy our next house. So we took what we owe on the mortgage and added 50 grand. Okay? That sounded reasonable to me. It sounds logical to me. Or my friends the Smiths in the next neighborhood, they got 180 for theirs and our house is kind of like theirs. I mean, they'll have some answer, some justification to themselves, but again, it will be an amateur answer because frankly, they do not have access to the information that would enable them to price it professionally. So whatever they say is going to be inadequate, okay? Are you aware of exactly what has sold and expired within the last year in this neighborhood? The answer we know before we ask. No, they don't have access to that. Are you aware of the supply and demand in the neighborhood, specifically the number of months of inventory available for a home like yours? You could ask that even more technically. Are you aware of the absorption rate for this type of home in this neighborhood? Okay, they've never even heard that phrase before. Did you consider the pricing benchmarks and trends that exist in your neighborhood? Did you consider the consequences of pricing high before you chose your price? Okay? With these questions, you're not only causing unrest and exposing inadequacy on their part, you are also establishing yourself as a professional who knows the game. Okay? It's only somebody who understands the game who would ask questions like this. So again, you're allowing them to self-discover what a working relationship with you would be like. You're not telling them, hey, I'm a professional. I can price this home right, expose it right, and get it sold. You're not doing that. That's coming on too strong at this point. So you're allowing them to discover that for themselves. Okay? And then opportunity-related questions. Here, we're going to introduce them right here. Hey, what are you going to be doing after you sell the home? What are your plans? Have you prepared a seller's disclosure? By the way, have FSBOs prepared a seller's disclosure? That they don't even know that they need it. But do they need it? Yes. It's required by law in the state of Texas, isn't it? Have you just saved them a whole bucket load of trouble by sharing a seller's disclosure with them and letting them know they need to have one prepared? Hey, are you willing to pay me 3% if I bring you a buyer? Okay? These are all questions that are going to create opportunity for you. Now look at the next page with me, page 13. Working the FSBO as a buyer, because there will be situations where they dig their heels in and they're simply not going to list. But that doesn't mean there's not an opportunity for a relationship here. So what are you going to do after you sell the home? Will you be staying in this area? Okay, what goes off in your mind? Okay, I can represent them in their purchase. Or will you be leaving town? If they're leaving town, have we lost an opportunity to work with this person? We can refer them, can't we? That's right. And by the way, what does it cost them to work with a realtor on the purchase of a new property? Nothing. Okay, these are money-motivated people. That's why they haven't listed so far. And you might have to educate them. Are you aware that the seller on the other end in Pittsburgh or the new home builder here in town will pay my commission? It won't cost you anything. Okay? Will you be, okay, at the FSBO, we'll be looking for another home in this area. So here's your dialogue around that. Well, how are you going about finding your perfect home? What process are you using? Would you like to use a proactive process that will guarantee you get the home you want, and more importantly, want the home you get? Now that phrase, by the way, has come up several times already, so why don't we pause and make sure that you understand what that means? Because it's not just turning a phrase around to make it sound fancy. When we say that you get the home that you want, that means that you purchase a home that meets your buying needs, all of your needs and most of your wants, okay? That you get the home that you want, that you use an intentional and proactive process, and you don't just buy on emotion or buy under pressure, Okay? So that first initial short-term need for a home is met. But have you ever worked with a buyer, or have you ever purchased a home yourself that met all of your buying needs up front, but you had great regrets 6 months later, or 12 months later, or 2 years later, because there were factors associated with that home that you were unaware of when you made the purchase? Perhaps the school district was not up to par. Perhaps the school that you thought your children were going to be attending was rezoned, and now they're going to be shipped somewhere else. Okay, maybe there's a brand new cement factory going in right behind your house. And in Houston, we're blessed with no zoning, right? Our forefathers had great insight to say no zoning in Houston, okay? By the way, that's why you want to live in a master planned community, isn't it? That's part of our pitch for Kingwood, right? Okay, for any master planned community, so you're protected from that kind of stuff. But buyers don't know all of that. The neighborhood might be in transition. They may not know that, particularly if they're from out of town. You are the professional. You know the market. And so when you're working with buyers, you're going to ensure that both their short-term desires are met. You find them a home. They get the home that they want. But then more importantly, down the road, they want the home they got. Okay? They're fully satisfied with that purchase on a long-term basis. Okay? Well, we would first need to sit down for about an hour so I can uncover exactly what you want in your next home, make sure the home falls well within your financial parameters, and then thoroughly discuss the roles and expectations we would have of one another in a successful working relationship. Okay? By the way, when we get into our buyer conversion class, these are the 3 points that we're going to go deep on. How do you work a buyer? How do you begin that relationship? Well, you begin by identifying their needs, what they want in a new home. Then you identify their financial comfort zone, okay? The price range that they need to stay in based upon current interest rates and down payment. And then, most importantly, and what's missing from most agents' discussion, a mutual expectations conversation. What you can expect from me as your professional representative. Oh, and by the way, what I can expect from you. Okay, so you get all that cleared up front. FSBO, well, we'd rather sell first and then look. Would a FSBO ever say that? Of course, they want to know they got money in hand or money coming. Okay, so great. And you're going to continue to stay in flow with them, right? Because this is not your only conversation. It's a 5-step follow-up. So you're going to be back the next week, and the next, and the next. And then after 4 weeks, you're going to be calling them weekly, and we'll give you the dialogue around that. Okay? So, seller's disclosure. Remember, you asked them back here, opportunity-related question. Have you prepared a seller's disclosure? So here's your dialogue around that. Okay, FSBO, what's that? Well, it's basically a notice that discloses your home's current condition, and we're going to coach you to give them a copy. This is on your first visit. And if they're not home on your first visit, write them a note about the importance of this document. Attach your card and the seller's disclosure. And then you're going to circle back with a telephone call to make sure they got it off the front door and that they understood its importance, okay? Consultant. Oh, FSBO, the condition of our home is fine. There's no problems. We've been living here for 20 years. We know we maintain our property, okay? Consultant, I'm sure it is. However, state law does require that you supply each potential buyer with a copy, okay? So you're going to keep them out of real estate jail and do them a great favor as a result. So closing visit 1. Visit 1 will end in one of 2 ways. First of all, you're going to close to an appointment. That's the desired outcome. That's why you knocked on the door to begin with, okay? So use this closing directly after asking the comprehensive pricing questions. Those are the questions we looked back on page 12. How did you arrive at your price? Are you aware of pricing trends in this neighborhood? Are you aware of the absorption rate for homes of this type? Those are all pricing questions. So after you ask some of these and you expose some inadequacy in their strategy, then you want to follow up here. Well, do you think this information, pricing trends, absorption rate, etc., would be of value to you and could help you in your attempt to sell the home yourself? If they're being honest, the only thing they can say is, yeah, That would be helpful. I would like to know that. So here's your follow-up. Well, when would be a good time for me to come out and share that information with you? Well, can't you just tell me? Well, I would need to run some reports. You know, as a realtor, I have access to a database of information that provides all this information, but I need to go prepare for that. I'd be glad to come back tonight around 7, or would tomorrow be better? Okay? So you're closing for that face-to-face kitchen table conversation. Okay? If they say no, I don't need that information. I'm very comfortable with what we're doing. We're going to stick with our plan. Okay, well, great. What are you going to do after you sell the home? What are your plans? Okay, and again, you're going to close to be their buyer rep or their referral rep if they're out of town. Now, there will be times, you know, when using all your spidey senses, that you just sense it's not right. It's not the right time to close for a face-to-face listing conversation. And again, that you're just going to use your natural charm and personality to discern that. As you're walking the home, asking questions, building rapport, you can sense the level of trust in a relationship is not there yet. Okay? So you drop into this. I really appreciate you allowing me the opportunity to view your home, and I wish you great success in the sale. I'd like to touch base with you weekly so that I can keep the information on your home up to date. By the way, why would that be important? Why do you need to keep information up to date? For your inventory. That's right, because you're adding this home to your FSBO inventory. Would that be okay? Would you like me to make copies of this sheet and or the seller's disclosure and drop them back by tomorrow? Well, I'm going to say you give them the seller's disclosure, okay? Because it's a blank. You're not going to have it pre-filled out, are you? Broker, should we pre-fill it out? No. You give them a blank seller disclosure, and you can do that right then. But in terms of, would you like me to make copies of this sheet? What sheet are we talking about? The inventory sheet. As we walked around and they took notes of the measurements, you can't just give that to them on the spot, can you? Because what was the purpose of that? For your FSBO inventory. So say, hey, if you'd like information on all these dimensions so you don't have to go back and remeasure everything, I'll be glad to make a copy and drop it back off to you. Okay? So, again, thanks for your time, and if there's ever anything I can do for you or anyone you know, please don't hesitate to call. So you give them the seller's disclosure, you give them your business card, and you commit to coming back by to drop off a copy of the inventory sheet. Okay? So you haven't closed to a listing conversation, but you have opened the door to a new relationship that you're going to continue to work, okay? And then send a thank you note after the first visit. We're going to coach you to send a thank you note after every face-to-face conversation with a FSBO. Okay? All right, here's the inventory sheet. There's a sample on page 15, and you can just copy this out of the book. Or if there are certain amenities or features which are common in this market area that you would want to add on here, feel free to do that, okay? They've got pool, separate shower, microwave, stove. But you would know, features that are important to buyers in this neighborhood, you could add them to your sheet, all right? Okay, step 2. On your next scheduled follow-up day, and we would recommend that be 7 days later. These visits, the first 4, follow about 1 week apart. Okay, hand deliver part 1 of the FSBO guide, all right? I don't have the FSBO guide for you. In fact, we're going to recommend 3 different pieces of information, and the author of the material has not provided them, so I don't have them to give you. However, I have good news. It doesn't matter what you give them, as long as it's helpful, okay? Anything that helps a seller sell their home. And so to demonstrate this, yesterday morning, before I taught this class in the Woodlands, I just went online and I just Googled home selling tips. Do you think I got any responses to that? Tens of millions of home selling tips. And so I just printed off a few, okay? So when your selling price is too high, beware. Or let's see, what else is in here? Another one was preparing the interior of your home to sell. Preparing the exterior of your home to sell, okay? Or packing tips. or how to qualify for a mortgage. There's any number of things that you could find and provide. You don't have to write it, you don't have to create it. Literally, 2 minutes you can print something off and you've got something of value to hand them. The point is, when you go, you never want to go empty-handed. You always want to bring an item of value. Otherwise, it appears to be just a pure sales call. And that will put up their defense. So every time they see you coming, they see your car pull to the curb, they're like, oh, Virginia must have something else for us. Okay? Because she always brings helpful information. Okay? So here we go. Here's the dialogue. Yeah, hey Joe, I just happened to be in the neighborhood and thought I would drop this by. I definitely think it can help you in the sale of your home. Okay, just hand it to them. Okay, and then here we go. These are going to be your repetitive questions you come back to again and again. Hey, how did it go this week? Is there anything I can help you with? Hey, if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to call. Okay, and you can go deeper on these. Did anybody come through this week? Did you have any home showings? Did you get any offers? Did any realtors come by? Because we know that realtors have 95% of the buyers out there, okay? So just asking those questions. If the FSBO's not there, place the follow-up information in an envelope, or depending on what the doorknobs are like in your area, you might just roll it up and stick it in the crack, whatever it takes so that it's nice and secure. Wrap a rubber band around it if you want. Just don't tape it to the door, okay? They don't want to be cleaning off tape residue off their door that you left there, all right? And then follow up with a call. So this is second visit. Whether you face-to-face on first one or not, you're going to come back second, leave additional information, leave your card, and if you met them face-to-face, send another thank you note. All right, page 17, visit number 3. 7 days later, there's a pattern here. Go back and drop off something else that'll be helpful to them. A FSBO guide or whatever you pull off the internet, okay? Here we go. Hey, I was thinking about you the other day, and I thought I would drop this by. I thought this might be helpful to you. Okay? By the way, if you have a preferred lender, you might get with them and see if they have some guide to improving your credit score or whatever, how to qualify for the most amount of money. And so that you drop it off to the FSBO saying, hey, you may have buyers come by interested in your home who need to speak with a lender or need to improve their credit score or need to see how much they qualify for. Here's my lender's business card and some helpful tips on qualifying. Okay? Just something along that line. How did it go? Is there anything I can help you with? If I can ever help you with anything, don't hesitate to call. Again, leave the material if they're not there, and if they are there and you see them face to face, write a thank you note. In every one of these conversations, remember our antenna's up, and we're seeking to determine, is this the right time to ask for a face-to-face? And you'll know that this is the right time when you sense frustration on the part of the seller. Now, initially, they're going to be excited. Initially, they're going to be like, we're not going to pay 6%. We don't need no stinking realtor, right? Because we're the smart ones, we're the crafty ones. We're going to sell this ourselves and put all this money in our pocket. But again, we know 90% of them fail in their quest. And as that realization begins to dawn on them, as the weeks tick off, and they don't have any offers, the sense of panic and frustration sets in. And when you sense that, that's when you close to the face-to-face kitchen table appointment. Okay?
There's on the TAR side and on the Trek site, there are some really good things. TAR especially, there's a lot of nice things that they have that you can go and print out.
Excellent.
All about, condition of the property.
Yes.
That's good. And then Trek, I think it's on the Trek site you can go and actually see and print out a copy of a pre-approval letter.
Excellent.
From the mortgage company. That would be pretty good.
Yes.
Say, surely you're going to make sure and qualify.
That's right.
Buyer that you may get an offer from, and for sure you're going to get this.
Their lender should provide you a letter.
Yes.
Yes.
And then they're going, oh man, what is this?
Yeah, and
Those two sites are pretty good. They've got a lot of good.
So TAR and Trek as sources of handout information. Great. Thank you, buddy. All right, same thing. If you see them on visit 4, same questions, same follow-up process. Leave it if they're not there. If you see them, write a thank you note. And if you don't, at least circle back with a phone call to make sure they got the information. Okay. So, where it's a 5-step follow-up program, how many steps have we completed? Actually 4, because we got through 4 visits, okay? So 7 days after visit 4, you take step 5, which you start the weekly phone calls, okay? And the dialogue is identical. You know, hey, this is Buddy with RE/MAX. I'm just calling to touch base with you. How did it go this week? Is there anything I can help you with? Is there anything, if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to call. Did you get any showings this week? Did you get any offers this week? Any realtors show your property this week? Okay? Those kind of questions. Repeat this call weekly until the house is listed or sold. Okay? And we know that 90% of the time it will be listed. And if you're the realtor who has stayed engaged, you'll be in the, we'll say, the old catbird seat to get that listing. You're going to have the primary position. Okay? If you're still around in the 8th week, a FSBO has self-discovered that you're different from the flock, okay? And by the way, it won't take 8 weeks. Again, 90% will have dropped out by week 4. So you'll be the only one still in the game. All right, so closing to the listing conversation. This is what I was touching on just a moment ago. So in every one of these visits or phone calls, you're listening for signs of frustration, okay? And it will show up in questions like this from the FSBO. Well, hey, how come our home hasn't sold? Or what do you think about our price? Are we priced right? Should we drop the price? What should we do? Okay? Hey, how's the market anyway? Well, what are they saying? My home hasn't sold. Are any homes selling? Or is it just the market, or is there something wrong with my home, or the way it's priced, or the way it's being marketed? Okay? Really, what they're saying, anytime they express frustration, they're saying, close me please. Help me please. Get me out of this please. The pressure is mounting. The motivation that we had for selling this house is still there. But now we're 4 weeks behind. We're 8 weeks behind. You know, Daddy may have already moved off, you know, to Dallas to start his new job and the family's here. Or maybe that new home build that they contracted for is almost done and they're facing the possibility of 2 house payments. Whatever their motivation is likely still there. But now their situation is worse off than when they began. So frustration is inevitable. So when you sense their questions are springing from frustration, say something like this. It sounds to me like it may be time for us to get together to discuss exactly what you need in the sale of your home and see if we can create a win-win working relationship. Wouldn't you agree? Again, if they're smart, if they're ready, they're going to say, yeah, I think so. Yeah, let's get together, let's talk. Let's see what we can do, okay? But if that's not where they go, if you get some hesitation or you get a rebuttal, no, I don't think so. We're just going to do this ourselves. Hang in there. Okay, don't give up. Here's the dialogue around that. Well, listen. If you can get what you need in the sale of your home, if your needs can be fully satisfied in the sale of your home by working with me, then why wouldn't you consider it? What are we saying here? If you can get the money out of your home that you need, if you can sell the home in the time frame that you need by working with me, why wouldn't you consider it? If at the end of our conversation you feel like you're going to lose by partnering with me, then you simply say, not at this time. Thanks, but no thanks. Worst case scenario is you'll be more informed about the options you have in the sale of your home. Besides, you should never say no until you know what you're saying no to. Okay? There may be opportunities available you never knew existed. I mean, really, what do you have to lose? By the way, we call these last few lines power phrases. They show up again and again in our training material, so I'd go ahead and internalize them now. Because they're so helpful in breaking down resistance. A seller at this point who's hesitating or telling you no is acting contrary to their best interests, and you know what? They probably know it. But because of ego or stubbornness, they're not giving in to a different solution. And so you're serving them at a high level by hanging in there, overcoming that resistance and making it easy for them to finally say yes. Because even though their ego's like, I know I could do this to myself, you've given them an out. Hey, what do you have to lose? At the end of the night, you don't think it's going to work for you, just say not at this time. Okay? So you've maintained your position, but guess what? Hey, there may be opportunities available that you don't even know exist right now. Okay? So you've made it really easy for them to overcome stubbornness and say yes to you. Okay, so one more thing. Don't be surprised if at some point a FSBO asks you the elephant in the room question. Jolly, why are you doing this? I mean, you're helping me, you're bringing me all this information, you're giving me some good advice, I'm not paying you, okay? Why are you helping me like this, okay? So you need to have some dialogue around that, and here we go. Because I believe in win-win relationships, that's why I'm doing this, okay? If I give you things of value that help you sell your home, that's a definite win for you, right? Well, of course, yeah, I win. Okay, would you agree? Yes. Well, if you happen to run across someone who wants to sell a home and doesn't want to do it themselves, you may think of my name. And if you do, that's a definite win for me, right? There's the win-win. You see, sometimes there's just value in knowing people. Okay? The philosophy I use in my business is I open the door to as many relationships as I can on an ongoing basis, recognizing that as I help people and serve people at a high level, it's inevitable that good is going to come back my way. I'm a firm believer in we reap what we sow. I'm going to sow some goodness and service into this relationship, and I don't know where the return is going to come, whether it's going to be in our relationship or somebody you refer to me or somebody from completely out of left field. I just know I've seen it a pattern. When I help people, good stuff happens. Okay? So that's why I believe in win-win relationships. So just have that dialogue ready to roll off your tongue. And I mean, it makes sense. When I said it, it made sense, didn't it? Was it believable to you when I said that? I hope so, because that is what I believe. Okay? So you just have to internalize that